Even though the movie was shot on some amazing locations, I wanted to somehow just shift it, nudge it sideways from reality. New Zealand has got all this amazing landscape, which we obviously use to maximum effect, but nonetheless, it's still New Zealand. It's still a real country, a real landscape, and I wanted just to nudge it slightly into Middle Earth, which is an ancient world of 7,000 or 8,000 years ago, a world of myth and legend. And we had the incredible opportunity, certainly the first time that I've ever been able to do it in my life, of being able to do a digital colour grade.
Well, digital grading is basically taking, once you've filmed a negative and you have a negative image, you then scan it on a machine, on a scanning machine, into a digital format, which means you can now put it on a monitor and you can manipulate the image with a huge variety of tools. You can make it brighter and darker, you can affect the colours, you can affect highlights and shadows, and you can isolate some parts of the image, and you can basically manipulate the image in just about any conceivable way, and then you scan the footage back out onto negative. So what you end up with is that you started with a 35mm negative, then you finish on a 35mm negative, but you've been able to sort of influence the image in between.
We set about figuring out who we could go to do that work, and we bid it out to a number of different places. It's an evolving area. We eventually hit upon someone I worked with on Matrix, Peter Doyle, and Andrew Lesnie had worked with on Babe as well. And both Andrew and I felt very comfortable with Peter Doyle. And I knew Peter Doyle throughout Matrix always said to me, we should digitally grade this whole movie.
The push for digital grading was twofold. One is straight up pragmatism. It's multiple cameras across many months of shooting with quite unpredictable weather. And so you would have a situation where it is a dialogue scene and you would be intercutting between 3 or 4 cameras spread across a period of like 6 months. So digital was a tool that could basically just bring consistency to that, and to help take a little bit of the pressure off being able to shoot without a filter and get another half hour of daylight at the end, knowing that digital can just kind of pull it back in, knowing that it's a handheld shot and the focus just didn't quite get there. The actor just moved their mark slightly different, and it's a fast shoot, and that's the performance that has to be used to just know that we can get in there and just sharpen just that little bit, just all sorts of like little just technical things that just enhance and just help, you know, the process.
We ultimately did about, 70% of the fellowship went through a computer. Not just talking about the special effects shots, I'm talking about just shots of actors, drama shots, actually got scanned and put into a computer and manipulated slightly. The elven characters benefited enormously that when we had shots of, for instance, of Galadriel, we were able to make her skin this pearlescent kind of gleam, as if she had some radiance sort of coming from within her.
The idea was to obviously get the look of the film to have this kind of storybook look to it. And this is one of the things that Peter Jackson would always kind of impress upon the post-grader, was that he would literally sit there with watercolors and say, this is what I want it to look like. It was one of Alan Lee's watercolors.
So, for instance, in the scenes in Mordor and the prologue, we wanted to make them feel like they were antique, that they were antiquated. Not sepia-toned or that silent movie kind of look, but something that felt ancient. So we were able to treat the colours in a different way. And then in Hobbiton, we wanted to feel warmth and green. We wanted Hobbiton to feel like, the perfect picture postcard.
So we got the classic reveal of Hobbiton. We didn't set out to do that much to the shot. Even though it's Hobbiton, you would expect that you would actually want to add green. But what we've found to give a really warm kind of feel to it is we in fact take green out. A little bit of magenta tends to permeate in, which then sends some of the greys slightly magenta, as you can just see coming in there. And then what we do is take those magentas and then sort of swing it into a gold world. And as you can see, it starts to put more of a spread into the grass. You can just see the different sort of layers happening there, and gives that kind of the warm feel that is sort of Hobbiton.
The interior of the Prancing Pony Inn, Barrie, I wanted the colours there. It was all firelight, big fire, flickering in the pub, and I wanted it to be not a warm yellow, sort of orangey, cosy fire. I wanted it to be a sickly green colour, a sort of urine stained kind of look. So because the hobbits have to feel uncomfortable. This is an ugly pub. It's not a happy place.
What's really great with digital grading is you can take now your digital images, and we literally would just pass these on to the digital grading house. They could then take these sequences now and kind of caress them into the production footage.
When you look at sequences like Rivendell and Lothlorien, you're thinking that, number one, it's likely to be location work, studio work, it's going to be blue screen work, it's going to be effects work, there's going to be miniatures as well. There's going to be quite a variety of different sources sort of landing in at one spot.
That's one of the reasons that when I'm watching some of the sequences now, they just blend so perfectly, because you're actually matching the live action photography and the digital photography. You know, you're bringing them both together. So you're not watching a live action plate, which is maybe color graded one way because a filter was thrown in front of it, and then now here comes your digital image. And so even though they're the same color, they might kind of pop out a bit from each other in the old lab process.
The look for Moria is very distinctive because it is very monochromatic. What we did is we basically made a decision that because we were entering a civilization that was dead, we would literally visually interpret that as saying that we are sucking the life out of the colour palette of the film. Once the entire sequences came together, we would extract colour out of the whole thing, which we did digitally. So when they first go into the mines, we still have the full colour palette, but what we did is we desaturated the colour very heavily so that a lot of the art direction, which is already fairly monochromatic, would virtually go completely black and white. And in many images, the only thing that was left was either we just had a very subtle green cast in some of the shadows, and that the flesh tones were very weak, but they were still there, and the flaming torch.
Each step tends to then trigger some decisions and choices for the next step. So we have two characters, Legolas and Aragorn, but in fact it's sort of Legolas is delivering a line. You could say that it's a slightly busy shot and you've got a kind of reasonably flat background and two characters. So what we would probably in fact do is it would be great to just have a very soft little subtle spotlight just on Legolas so that your attention is really there and not necessarily on Aragorn. What we can do is what we call track. To do that, the first thing we'd want to do is just kind of tell the computer where Legolas is in the shot, and we'll just use his eyes just as a track point. So the computer's just kind of matching where all that move is. So that having done that, we can now just draw just a basic little shape like that and tell the computer to move that where it's just been, or to match the shot. Now we have a situation where we can just say, and I'll just make it extreme, brighten Legolas right up, but it'll just track all the way through. Obviously that's quite extreme, but what that means is that we can be quite subtle about it in that we can just pull a little bit of colour. It's still keeping enough of the fire light happening on Aragorn, but it means that we can now sort of emulate as if he's walking into the light a little bit, in terms of have Legolas a little bit dark at the entrance of the shot so that your attention is really on Aragorn, and as Legolas moves into the shot, sort of have him move into a light, and therefore then shift attention as the line is given.
We must move on. We cannot linger.
The climax of the film, which takes place on Amon Hen, we did a lot of colour treatment of the forests.
Anyone that's filmed in forests knows any forest that has a solid canopy creates quite a sort of staggering, huge contrast range. When the sunlight comes through, as distinct from where the shadows are, there's a huge amount of exposure difference. And generally film stock doesn't have that sort of range. So we'd be trying to control the contrast ratio and set what we thought was a median ground to work in.
So if we take, for example, the raw shot, what we decided to do here was to, in fact, what we say, expose for the forest or for the leaves. So if we pull that down, we can see, all this detail come in. Then what we would do is just sort of go in and lift back up the floor just with a basic shape like that, so that we effectively split the shot into two, everything that's bright and everything that's dark, so we can sort of control the two, and then we can start to separate the colours. Now, what we're able to do is just lock onto the green and just swing the green of the leaves and shifting it to a kind of yellow gold. If we then look at the next shot, which is when he goes leaning down, we have quite a challenge, which is an incredibly moving moment in this film with Vigo being shot against sky. So what we want to do is balance for Vigo's face and get in and really separate that foreground, which we can do by selecting anything that's bright, for example here, pulling that down and then swinging the green of that around so that it's definitely sort of autumnal and golden hour, and really just play with the exposure. Because we have an interesting discussion, which is certainly something that Peter likes to work on a lot, is do we set it in a way that it's actually just a little bit hard to see what's happening in the eyes, or do we in fact sort of relight the shot a little bit so that you are definitely focused on the eyes in this case, sort of add very minimal little spotlight just on the eyes, just so that you can absolutely focus on, you know, the performance.
I do not know what strength is in my blood, but I swear to you I will not let the White City fall.
What's been fantastic on this film is it was definitely a tool that the DOP wanted and then used. What was also responsible, I believe, of production is to include the DOP in the post-production process so that collectively we could, you know, continue to work with his negative and then present to a director. And I think that's definitely the best way of achieving a creative vision.
You know, I really like playing around with the colours because they do affect you subconsciously. You know, most people won't notice, but they help, just as the performance of the actors or the music helps. You know, it helps create a sort of an emotional mood to what you're seeing.